You got it, Ben?
Yep.
Okay, we're live on YouTube. So Candace, you make the call now.
Okay, this is Municipal Services Committee meeting. I'm going to read the header from the notice, public notice of the Municipal Services Committee for the City of Blue Island to be held remotely Tuesday, May 26th, 2020, 6 p.m. as permitted by Executive Order 2020-07, signed by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on March 15th, 2020, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. To participate remotely, download the Zoom app or call 312-626-6799. The webinar ID is 861-3238-8210, and the password is 508584. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:01. And I'm just going to call names of people that I believe are here. If I miss you, please shout out. We have, for the first meeting, for his tenure as alderman, we have Alderman Allan Stevo. So welcome, Allan.
Thank you.
Alderman Mech, Alderman
Here.
Bill Fahrenwald, Alderman Bill Fahrenwald.
I'm here.
Alderman Nancy Rita, Jim Postrel, I believe is here.
I'm here.
Eric Alvarez. Is Eric here?
Yes, Alderman Carr, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, good. Howard Kapari.
Here.
And we've got Mike Brown from Pest Management.
Here.
Okay, is there anyone that I missed? Okay. So I did the call to order, the roll call. Under citizens' concerns, I received 3 different emails. One is from Jill Fernandez. Members of the committee back in February, you might remember that the Fernandezes came to the meeting in February. And she says, "Hi, Candace, my name is Jill Fernandez and my husband is Rafael Fernandez. We attended your last committee meeting on February 11th, 2020. Our tree is a bigger problem now. If you check back on your notes from that meeting, you will know what I'm talking about. The tree has more black leaves on it from last year, and most of the leaves are falling off compared to other trees. This is almost bare. The roots are now causing our sidewalk to buckle, making for standing water in our driveway and entrance walkway. Not to mention the continued root damage to our sewer line. We are attaching some pictures for you to review that show the black leaves, the bare tree, the sidewalk, and the water pooling where we told you. This tree is diseased per the Botanical Gardens website. This tree needs to be cut down per your ordinance. Please, again, we ask you approve the cutting of this tree. We'll be joining the meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. So I'm assuming that they did jump on the meeting. Back in February, you might recall that we talked about this, and there is a problem with the city cutting down trees that aren't dead. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim.
No, we have enough dead trees to cut. We don't normally cut down live trees, correct?
Okay, and at the time, there was a question of whether or not we would allow them to cut down the tree themselves. Ordinarily, we don't do that. We don't let people cut trees out of the parkway. And so I forwarded the information to the Judiciary Committee. And the Judiciary Committee just recently sent it back to me and said that this should be decided on a case-by-case basis, that the residents should come to Municipal Services and ask for permission to cut the tree down. So I was caught a little off guard by this. I was trying to put everything for the meeting together, and then the email came through. I told Mrs. Fernandez that we would discuss this at the June 9th meeting, if everyone's amenable to that, because tonight it's actually an extra meeting that was only supposed to be for the continuation of the street discussion and the rat abatement program. So I'm going to put this on the agenda for our regular meeting on June the 9th.
Hi, Candace.
Yes, ma'am.
Nancy, Rita here. I'm sorry, I had trouble logging on for some reason. I missed what you were saying. Was it about Fernandez and that we discussed it in judiciary and we didn't feel that we needed an ordinance at this particular point in time?
Yes.
And then
And
it's case by case basis.
it would be,
Unless
it would be,
something, and that
it would-
we thought that the homeowner should be able to take down their tree at their own expense if that's what they so choose.
yes.
Okay.
And so I just said that we're going to put this on the June 9th agenda to have a discussion because this kind of caught me off guard at the last minute. And this is a extra meeting.
Right.
For discussion
Okay.
of streets and rats. So we will put that on the agenda for that.
Yeah, and the email that came to me came after judiciary. Otherwise, I would have announced it at judiciary because this took place back in February. So
Okay.
thank
I
you.
also-
Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome, Alderman. I also have an email from Kathy Keener, and she says, Dear Alderman Carr, in March, Blue Island residents were informed that Lakeshore Disposal Services would not be collecting yard waste in Blue Island due to the COVID-19 virus. While I understand the need for everyone's safety, it is Lakeshore's contract with the city to collect our yard waste. On top of that, although our services have been reduced, residents have not been given a reduction in our monthly bills. We are now going into June, and my neighbors and I working on our yards for the summer and have a great deal of yard waste. I ask this committee to contact Lakeshore and insist on either a resumption of regular yard waste service or a reduction of residents' monthly garbage bills. And signed, Kathy Keener.
I have
And then-
I have a comment on that one if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Okay,
Thank you.
Alderman. That notice came out as a mistake and it only lasted like a day and a half. When it was brought to my attention, I talked to the Lakeshore representative and he said it was a mistake. That was not true for that to be tagged because they tagged some of the leaf bags saying that they're not going to get them, but that only lasted like I said, at the most a day and a half. That's not a true statement that they postponed it or anything. It was just
Okay.
a misunderstanding with the one driver for about a day and a half. And they have been picking up the yard waste all along. And the big stuff, of course, we're picking up, like the big branches. The Public Works Department's been picking those up. And we're a little behind on that also. We're trying.
Good to hear because they picked up my yard waste last week and I was afraid I'd be accused of favoritism of some sort. So
No, Alderman, not at all. It was just, like I said, the one driver on it was like a thing, it was quick. I got a hold of the representative and he said, oh, no, that's a mistake. Because it was about the COVID, but I think in certain towns, also I've gotten notices that they weren't picking up bulk because of it. And then they're going to resume picking up the bulk in June 1st. They don't pick up our bulk. So it was just a generalization, but maybe the driver that came out to Blue Island that day was in other towns and didn't understand ours. And it's like I said, he just did a mistake and he was tagging things and that stopped immediately. It was no time at all. Like I said, at the most it was a day and a half. And what happened is when I got a hold of him, I said, okay, we'll backtrack with Public Works because because they move like we do in zones. And we usually go the day after the garbage truck comes through is our day. So I was able to come through the day after and grab whatever was out there. And so there should have been really no interruption to any customer. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And thank you, Jim, for that explanation.
Okay.
And then I have an email from Dave Helsley regarding the rats in his neighborhood. I'm going to leave out some of the details just because I don't think they need to be made public, but I did forward the email to the alderman. It says, hi, Candace. The problem problemed rats over here on Francisco are due to my neighbors. And then he gives the name and address. He says they have birds on a screened-in porch that they feed, and the grain falls through the cracks in the floor and on the ground. Last year, they had a couple of chickens and were throwing feed on the ground. Plus, they feed the wild birds by throwing breadcrumbs out. They are very birdy people. Now they tell me they've found rats nesting in the garage. This does not surprise me at all. For the most part, I think the rat problem here has been located. When you guys get a health inspector, I'd like for them to talk with the neighbor's house and myself. I'm sure you have this kind of thing going on all over Blue Island, and it's probably one of the reasons that we have rats around here. He says, I'll be watching, take care. So that completes the citizens' concerns that were sent to me before the meeting. And it's a great lead in right into the rat abatement discussion.
So if you don't mind, I will. The best way to start is maybe I could comment on that. So
Okay.
for an example, I'm going to use the town of Oak Park, Illinois, because we do rat abatement for that city right now. And I will say the bird feeders are a big problem. And it's unfortunate because some of the people don't cooperate. They want to call every week and say that, hey, there's rats over here, but they refuse to get rid of the bird feeders. So I would agree with that resident. The bird feeders are definitely an issue.
Okay. Was this Mr. Brown speaking?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. If you want to go into your presentation, your
So,
PowerPoint presentation,
yeah,
please.
and I didn't set up my like screen or nothing like that. My assistant did send the presentation. So
Everyone has it.
oh, everyone has it?
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me for a minute. It's my first time on the Zoom. I do presentations every day, mostly on bed bugs, so the rat one is sort of new. But let me start off by saying that what we're mostly going to be dealing with is Norway rats. This is an old presentation. I took a lot of the other information out about house rats and, this and that. So what we're going to be dealing with, especially here in the Midwest and here in Blue Island, is going to be Norway rats. They're treated just the same as the mice. And if you look, let me go at the top here. I mean, the first part's pretty generic, just that we're here to identify them, blah, blah, blah. Our approach, of course, IPM. Definition of IPM, Integrated Pest Management, is actually starting before there's a problem, I guess in this situation, that's going to be a little different because we already have complaints. But integrated pest management will be like putting monitors in place before things happen and just treat based on your findings and not just go around throwing poison around and stuff. Treating something you don't see is against, integrated pest management. So we definitely take an IPM approach, except for I'm sure you already have a list of addresses that we're going to have to be battling with before we get to that point, which is fine with us. Okay, concerns. I'm sure you guys already know the concerns. All the different diseases, especially in the droppings. Electrical damage, fires. I think like 80% of fires that they did not find a case for a proven fault, they say firemen expect it to be from rodent damage and chewing on wires. Allergies, they got studies now showing that people born in high rises and stuff now have allergies because of rodents and roaches. Urine that gets on your food, basically just about diseases. So the next one, signs of infestation. So what am I looking for? We're obviously looking for rat burrows, holes. Now, if you look at that picture of the garage door, hopefully yours is better than mine, which is the part that says signs of infestation. You'll see the yellow arrows, which are going to the hole. That's called sebum. So there's an oily film on mice and rodents, and that's how we identify them. I could see that stuff anywhere and could tell that rats are using it as a trail. Just how you can see the red line and the yellow lines in the picture right there. And then right at the hole, you'll see how black it is. Some people may think something spilled there a long time ago and never got cleaned. It's actually the oily film from the rodent's body. So when we're in people's houses and, you know, this and that, even a water pipe or something, you know, you can see they turn at the same place every day, you know, because of that dirt. So, you know, that's what we're looking for. Like I said, I took out the other rodents out of this, not to complicate it for everybody. So we're dealing with the house mice. Okay, small holes. So you're going to be seeing gaps under doors, thresholds that don't properly fit, garage doors that don't close down all the way. If you could fit your pinky in a hole, basically a mouse could fit in there. If you could fit your thumb in there, basically your rat will fit in there. So there was a picture of a little sewer lid. Basically, a presentation I attended in Phoenix. The guy was showing some pictures, one of the professors, and it was showing a rat squeezing through a 3/4 inch hole of the sewer lid. So any little holes, you know, basically we know what to look for. I'm not sure, you know, I don't want to spend time on their lifespan and how many litters they have. You know, I'm sure that doesn't really help this situation a whole lot. Okay, Norway rats, their size, you know, it's not uncommon to find them like a pound. You know, they get big, they get out of hand fast. What's important to us is probably taking notes, you know, when we're out. All of our technicians carry iPads. These iPads are used as cameras, so we're going to take pictures of things that shouldn't be how they are. Like if we see harborage areas or, you know, something that could be considered shelter, maybe someone dumped something and left it. So we'll be photographing stuff like that and turning in with our reports. If it's an address you guys send us to, you know, we're gonna give them little notes, you know, hey, you need a door sweep. You know, this whole issue could be solved just by you putting a sweep under the bottom of your door. You know, you're allowing them to come in, or, you know, caulk this and seal that, you know. What's important that a lot of people don't realize, even my own father, you know, he gets them in his tomato garden, is just because the rodent issue is in your yard and you have them, or the tenant is having them, or resident or whatnot. In my father's situation, there's a restaurant about 5 doors down from him on the corner. A rat will travel the size of a football field every day looking for food. So a lot of times they'll be in the clean yard, go two yards over to where all the dog droppings are or where the restaurant is. So that's for us to notice and for us to, you know, keep on, you know, why are they here? Then a picture next to the restaurant, you'll see there's some sunflower seeds. I actually took that picture a couple weeks ago. New customer have, new building. Maintenance, we're actually letting tenants use part of the basement. They have a beautiful garden in the backyard, but the section of the basement that he was letting them use, they were storing a grass seed there, the sunflower seeds, and, you know, it turned out the rats start nesting there because of the food source. So that's another thing that we'll be looking for and identifying, and of course taking pictures and notes. Dumpsters in the alley. So part of our agreement, if everybody has it, you'll see that we're trying to sell you guys about 25 stations. And part of that reason is we're going to find areas where there's a bunch of dumpsters and that building's not paying for their own rodent control. There's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of people on that block that have dog droppings in the yard, which are attracting rodents. So we're going to have to move these stations around when we find these problem areas. Okay. Now the next one is treating rat burrows. So burrows obviously is a sign that we're looking for. We're looking for these holes that are in the ground. I put a machine, I mean, we have a machine that we use in very, very bad situations, mostly north side by the lake. It's called the Burrow RX. basically lawnmower engine. And instead of exhaust pipe, there's a hose where the carbon dioxide comes out. We actually run that tube underground and, put them to sleep to kill them, basically. That's if it's that bad. Next slide, just showing the different baits that we use, depending on the situation or the weather. If we're in a spot that gets wet all the time, we're probably going to go with something simple like the contract green blocks because they have a lot of wax. There's some stuff we use called First Strike. It's made with a fish oil attractant, and it's very soft. It's very palatable. They love it. Fast Track is a very fast killer. One bite, they're dead. But the problem with that is, of course, it don't taste as good. When you're dealing with mouse poison, rat poison, it's sort of like medicine. The best medicine probably tastes the worst. The stuff that ain't gonna help you a whole lot probably tastes like syrup. So we use a lot of different methods when it comes to types of poisons and baits that we use. Next picture is the stations that we use. We only use Bell stations. They're the best on the market. You see, I took a picture of a little key. They can only be opened with that key. They're T2 security, meaning they're putting, the way they test these boxes, they put them in a room with about 6 dogs, and they let them try to open that box. So no one could get hurt, this and that. We'll put snap trap on one side and whatever bait we happen to be using on the other side. Unless it's a very heavy infestation, then we'll use 4 poles, which hold 8 ounces of bait to reduce the population instead of putting the snap traps in. Last but not least, more aggressive treatments. Only me and a couple guys are actually licensed to use. One is Liquitox. The Liquitox, you put in like a little dish, drinking water. So baits are not going to work when there's a heavy food source, okay? So what you want to do is give them something else they need, which will be water. So one little packet of that gets mixed with 40 ounces of water. You could pour it in little plates or something and put it inside the box. Then sometimes you can get them to drink. Like if it's next to a restaurant, they're not going to eat the fake food and the bait. They just have too much food. So, we try to go to a different angle and give them the other thing they need, which is something to drink. Heavier situation where we can't get them to drink anything or eat anything, then we go to track and powder, which all they have to do is come in contact with it. We actually will take a flexible hose, run it underground. We use a funnel and we call a puffer, and we'll shoot that track and powder underground, so they have to come in contact with it. So there's a lot of methods. Put in place. We're not a one and done kind of company. We try to take every tool out of the toolbox that we could do. That's about it. I was just planning on answering.
Thanks, Mr. Brown. Does anyone have any questions at this time?
So let me ask you this. Do you, like I said, we do the town of Oak Park, we do the whole village, and any other places when they come up for bid, something that we're doing in Oak Park now, I think my assistant sent, when she also sent the presentation, is like door hangers that we use, which...
Yes, she did send those.
One particular hanger we will give to the customer with expectations. And then the other one will go on the neighbors on both sides of that house, saying, hey, there's issue in the area, call if you see something. Just says, keep containers closed and keep an eye on the building, stuff like that. And we average probably about 24 calls a day. We go down there, we get a list, in City Hall, we get a list, and we visit each house. We make preparations in their yard, garage, or alley. It doesn't include going in somebody's actual house.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Howard, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe,
I do have a question for Mr. Brown.
Sure.
So when I spoke with your assistant, he gave us a prospective pricing plan for the traps. Once Blue Island buys the trap, they own it.
You
But then-
own it.
Right,
You own the traps.
right. But then came either weekly or bi-monthly inspections. And I think this is where the committee might have some questions in the pricing and how you look at the traps and how you assert what needs to be done for the pricing and what you're charging.
Yeah, so what we do is we try to factor in a day's labor, basically, and then the cost of poison. Like I said, the boxes will be yours. But yeah, any questions, I'll take them.
So this is Howard again. So I was the person who's been tasked with reaching out to various pest management companies, which I've done. Yours by far was the most informative. You gave us actual prices to look at. Like I explained to Mr. Phillips, the city is looking at a micro, macro level way of dealing with rodents. The micro would be like what you just heard, a person complaining about the next door neighbor and stuff like that. The macro would be like an annual program where you would be looking for sources where rodents might burrow, maybe along water lines, openings near the canal, riverines or streams, and stuff like that.
In this area, I don't want to cut you off, but in this area especially, with streams and the water, and especially railways, how the tracks over here are insane between Posen, and over here. I'm on 127th and Western, but every animal and every person alive will follow the path of least resistance. Railroad tracks are a perfect example of that. I mean, it's not unheard of to have like a tiger or a mountain lion from 3 states over, which you would never expect to be in Chicago, but they happen to follow the railroad tracks while they're feeding off grain or whatever else falling off the boxcars. So this neighborhood, yeah, with the tracks in the water, sure.
Okay.
Alderman Fahrenwald,
Alderman Fahrenwald?
I just had a question, but if you want to go with
Sure.
first.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I just was, Mr. Brown, thank you very much. A very useful presentation. Appreciate it. Secondly, how would we determine whether the 26 or the 52 annual visits would be appropriate?
Well, I think there's no reason why we couldn't put a condition in there to change as needed. Like if you say, hey, we're getting tons of calls right now, we're flooded, let's try it out twice a month until we get this under control. I mean, at any time you can say, hey, I just want you once a month now.
Okay, that seems reasonable, especially since we're trying to watch our nickels pretty closely here right now.
Yeah. I was going to break in here because I believe Mr. Carr had sent us an email saying that he would like to hold off on this until the new health inspector is hired.
Yeah, that's correct. This is Howard. I've had a very good conversation or interview last week with the building official and interviewing the new health inspector. And this person is aware of the regular responsibility plus the rodent abatement program and also the proposed poultry ordinance we might be passing in the near future for chickens to be raised in the backyard for eggs and what have you. This person seems very excited about that. So like I communicated with the committee earlier this morning, I would like to hold off until I get this person hopefully working with us, hopefully in mid to late June.
Okay. As usual, we're kind of pressed for time. So I'd like to thank Mr. Brown for his presentation. And we will put this on the meeting for June the 9th. Do you think that would be a good time, Howard? I hate to hold off till July.
I think July will be better because the prospective new health inspector has 2 engagements that she has to take care of it. And that's in the beginning and mid-June. So maybe July would be better.
Okay. All right, I will put this back on our agenda for July then. And thanks again, Mr. Brown, for coming.
Sure. I would like to point one thing out before I go, in case you guys have other discussions, and of course, I'm not going to be there. But when you do get this new health inspector, and I know you mentioned the chickens and everyone's trying to go green, right? Cheap option to have eggs or whatever. I could tell you that we service Chicago Public Schools. Every school that practice composting and has them chicken coops are each school that has the rat issue. So keep that in mind when you're doing these green programs. Most of them cause rats. I'm not saying don't do them, but you have to be really, really conscious of it. Rats love the compost and the chickens.
Okay.
Chairman Carr?
Yes, Alderman Stevo.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to see this done sooner rather than later. I have residents in the 7th Ward who have a rodent problem. And I am familiar with Mike Brown's company, and they do a very good job here in Blue Island. And I would really like to have something done sooner because there is a serious rodent problem here. And I'd like you to take that into consideration, please.
Okay, what I can do is I can put it on June's agenda for approval. How would that be? And then the new health inspector can start working on it in July.
Right. So what is it that you're approving? A contract with pest management services?
Right.
Okay.
And then I think it would have, excuse me, I'm sorry, Alderman Carr.
Go ahead, Alderman Rita.
I think it has to then also go through finance, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just to give a little bit of feedback, I know this committee's been following my emails. I reached out to 3 or 4 companies. Pest management was the most serious out of the 4. Another one gave us materials, but didn't give us the in-depth material like this person has done in the PowerPoint presentation and others. So I'm just also considering or taking into account the bidding process. I take it if we do it on a small contract under an amount of money that doesn't get us over, the bid process, then I think it's fine. I'm just making sure we're not doing anything that's incorrect.
And you're not locked in either. I would never make someone sign a 2 or 3 year and you're locked into it. At any time you say, hey, I don't think you're living up to what you are. The next cycle comes around, hey, Mike, we don't need you this month. It's over.
Mr. Kapari?
Yes.
In that case, can you go back to the other 2 companies and get a quote? Because we did not get quotes from them.
Right.
Or a schedule, because that way then we could vote.
Right. So
June.
So what I'll do is I'll request some type of a quote, something similar to what pest management's doing. Many of these companies are very, how would I say, conservative. In other words, they don't want to share information until it's necessary. But I'll tell them if they want to participate in the bid process, they need to give us a quote. So at least we have 3. So hopefully I can present it to this committee in what June
the 9th.
9th. Okay.
Okay, we really have to move on.
All right, thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the handicap parking ordinance on Greenwood. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move. Alderman Fahrenwald.
I'll second.
Okay. Yeah, did someone have a question?
No, I was just seconding it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'm going to jump down to number 6. Hopefully this will be a fairly quick discussion. Resolution related to providing additional outdoor space to assist bars and restaurants in the city of Blue Island. We were sent an agreement and a ordinance, I believe, or a resolution to allow restaurants that do not have a public space to use various city property so that they have a equal chance of competing with the restaurants that do have patios or private parking lots or whatever where they can seat people. This would only be for the, as I understand it, only for the period of time where social distancing would be required by the restaurants.
Alderman,
Okay.
can I ask a question about that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Is this Alderman Fahrenwald?
Yes, it is. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear that there's that limit on it. I just didn't see anything in the language because I was going to suggest that there be language that limits this to some period of time, 180 days or that period. Maybe I missed something, but I didn't see that.
I didn't see it.
I may have made an assumption that it wouldn't be forever. They do have to, we were sent an agreement also that they would have to sign. Let me see if I can find that. Agreement for outdoor.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and it doesn't say, it doesn't put any kind of time limit on it.
Oh,
I would have to agree with Alderman Fahrenwald. If we can add that in, because I know it's on the council meeting agenda.
Right. Alderman Carr? This is
yes, who's it?
This is Randy.
Randy? Okay.
This is all based out of the governor's surprise announcement on Wednesday to say, hey, bars can open outdoor only, and it said municipalities are encouraged to assist restaurants and bars in open air seating or area. So whether that's municipal streets or whatever. So this is quite the surprise for all of us. And I'm sure that when Carrie's on this evening, or that we could have that added into it, no problem.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
That's what I figured. I didn't go to judiciary. Probably because it just came up, right, Randy?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things. We had a real quick meeting with the COVID response team and had Carrie on and the mayor, and we tried to hammer something out that we could at least get on the agenda for Friday and for everyone to regurgitate what they were thinking and to have it be ready for Tuesday, so we wouldn't have to have another special meeting to approve, so that restaurants could open Friday.
Okay, so they'll add the, what did you say, Alderman Fahrenwald, 180 days?
Well, but I would just say some time limit, and maybe at city council tonight, we could discuss that.
Yeah, it says here on the agreement, under number 4, it says, I agree to obtain insurance, blah, 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 as pursuant to the terms of the permit. Now, perhaps that could be included as part of the permit. Maybe the permit could
Yes.
for 180 days.
That'd be fine.
Right, and I would even do a little closer time frame than that, just and tie it to Restore Illinois plan. You know,
Yeah.
That's all this is meant to be, guys. Seriously, that's all it's meant to be, is just to
Good.
get some socially distant space for these guys so that they don't have to close down.
Yeah, I'm good with all that.
Okay, so can we get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, Alderman Rita.
I'll second Mike Mech.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you all. And now we get into the meat of the discussion here. Number 5, the discussion of ongoing projects. I have been looking at the project list that Eric Alvarez sent us. And I want to go through part of this very quickly so that we don't spend a lot of time. If you have yours in front of you, project 18R0547. It's the Blue Island Fish and Wildlife Grant Project. It already says under the recommendation on hold.
excuse me, I'm so sorry, Candace, or Alderman Carr. Are you on the actual project list?
I'm on the
There were
project
two
list
lists
that,
that came out, right?
it's the list that Eric sent to us.
It's an Excel document.
MWRD Green Infrastructure. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
119th place.
No, it's project number 18, RO547.
I got a different one.
It's Blue Island Fish and Wildlife Grant Project.
Can't see, it's an Excel sheet that's probably got like 18 or 20 lines on it.
It would be on line 6.
Yeah, I have that, and it's saying something different.
What does it say?
Project list, right?
I think I got it underneath the 5, number 5. It's the 5th one down. It might be different on the Excel sheet, but the 5th
Yeah.
one on the list is the Blue Island Fish and Wildlife Grant Project. It's the 5th one down from the top. Is that what you got?
That's what I have.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Right? It says B.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
Not number 18, number 6.
Yeah, it's project. The project number is 18 RO547.
Okay,
Okay, I would just like to remove that. It already says on hold. There's no reason for us to discuss that.
okay,
Is that all right with everyone?
yes.
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 Okay.
Alderman Stevo?
But the one underneath that, water system improvement, project plan, Thornton tank painting,
Yes.
that one already says on hold. So I'd like to remove that off the list.
Could I just ask a question about that one? Maybe
Yes.
from Eric. So Eric, on hold, and I get what the chairman's saying here. By on hold, the only thing that I notice is water main replacement. What's going on there that we're putting out, that we're eliminating?
Sure, Alderman. So this was a combined project which was going to be financed through an IEPA low-interest loan. It consisted of road reconstruction and water main replacement on 121st Place and Highland, painting the Thornton Avenue tank, replacing lead services, replacing some lead service lines, and then a citywide meter replacement project. So that got put on hold about 5-6 months ago when it was determined that didn't seem financially feasible.
That's fine. Sorry.
Okay, so when I say I'm taking it off the list, I'm not canceling the project. I'm just saying I'm taking it off the list for discussion at the moment.
Because it's not even up for discussion.
Right. Gotcha. Thank you.
Right. Okay, and then the next project that I was looking at is the 11955 Vincennes Road demolition.
Yes.
Everybody got that one?
Yep.
That also says on hold. So I'm going to take that off the list.
Okay.
And then further down, MWRD Green Infrastructure Grant, 119th Place Alley and Bias Swale. That one,
Yep.
I'm going to take off the list.
Hey, Alderman Carr, this is Eric Alvarez. I just want to cut in quickly on that 19R0751, the MWRD Green Infrastructure Grant Project.
Yes, sir.
Just, this is FYI. So that project is on hold, but it's on hold pending an intergovernmental agreement between Blue Island and the MWRD. So the project can't go forward until that intergovernmental agreement is signed, but that intergovernmental agreement does have financial liability to it as well. So basically if the city wants to sign that agreement to keep that project going forward, then the city has to agree to fund that portion of the portion of the project that's listed. So it's not on hold in the same way as the other ones are. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, well,
Alderman.
yes.
I thought on that one, the MWRD was just looking to see if the city can make a commitment towards this project, but it wouldn't even be until like 2021 by the time they would be ready with all their stuff. And I think it's like $250,000 from them, and it would be like a $60,000 commitment from us, but it wouldn't be until sometime later next year. So I think they're just looking for a commitment. So I don't know how you feel about that one. But I'll just, it could go on hold for now.
Yeah, I agree. Since this is all Rita, since it's not going to be ready for, there's no reason for us to
So
keep it on.
for the purposes of tonight's discussion,
Yeah, okay.
it already says it's on hold, so I'm going to remove that. York Street and Irving Avenue. That's on hold. I'm going to remove that. Tip 5, resurfacing and crack sealing, Irving, Chatham, Chicago, Hoyne, and Sealy. I'm going to take that off. The Blue Island subparcel survey of Bios Farm. If anybody's going by project numbers, it's project 20 RO290.
It's on hold.
I know, I'm going to remove that.
Yep.
2020 Blue Island 119th Place resurfacing grant application. It's marked on hold and we're waiting for CDBG, so I'm going to take that one off. The Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, I think we've already put a hold on that.
Yeah, I believe Alderman Bellato did in the community development meeting.
Yeah, I believe so. So the fire museum survey, that's on hold due to the shutdown.
Hey, Alderman Carr, can I quickly jump in on the fire museum? So,
Sure, go ahead.
We got the survey records from the county for that project. So we have that fire museum survey. The draft one is done into the architect. And so you know that's no longer on hold, but also so you know that survey is being donated by Robinson, so that is zero financial liability to the city. So it was on hold. We completed the survey. We sent it to the architect for a review, and I don't think you all want us to put a project on hold that's being donated anyway. Correct?
Oh, let me just back up just 1 second. Okay, Robinson is donating the engineering.
The survey. The survey.
The survey.
All of the engineering that's going to go towards this?
No, Alderman Rita. No, we're donating the survey, the parcel survey.
The survey. The fire museum, I believe they're taking donations for that. The city is not paying for that.
I believe that's the plan for the project as well, Alderman. I don't know anything about except for the survey though. So we're at the survey stage. That's all. That's where my.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So I don't think then that we have to put that on hold. There's no cost to the city.
Jim, what do you think?
I think maybe Joe DeNovo or something like that needs to come forward and let us know where we're at on it, right? He's the one that's spearheading that. I don't think there's a problem with that at all.
Okay. All right, because it doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
All right, so now let's go back to the projects that are left. We run out of time fast. So the first project would be 16 RO234, the Western Avenue Bridge. I think they've already started that. Have they not?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman Carr. That one's going to continue now. It's state led. It's not really, the city can't really, it isn't really under the city's, I don't know. It's basically being led by IDOT, and the city portion's underway.
Yeah, well, my note here is we did have some extra improvements to that. So I think 143 of the $160,000 already been paid out for that from the city. So
Right, that's correct, Jim.
already running. So I think our portion was like 160,000 and we already paid out 143. So that I believe is going to continue if it's on your approval.
Okay. Does anybody have a problem with continuing that? Hello?
No,
Oh, okay. It's
No.
already started.
So
They're
much
out there.
no.
I'm sorry, what?
I just said since so much money has already been expended, no, right?
Yeah, and the work's in progress. They're out there. I'm already getting complaint calls about the bridge, so that was a joke. I know that they're out there working on it. Okay, the next one, 16 R0404.04, the Meadows Golf Course Lift Station Rehabilitation.
So
No,
this is Alderman Rita. I remember this was under when I was Finance Committee Chair. And I thought it was coming under the loan, the IFA loan.
Yeah, this job has already been completed. This is just the maintenance of it, of recording the numbers of how much water is being pumped out to MWRD. And there's testing from Suburban Labs to test the water. I think quarterly, I think we have to take tests and stuff. So this is just an ongoing maintenance. That's all that's about the Meadows Golf Lift Station at this point.
Okay.
It's just a maintenance thing.
Okay, so we agree that we should continue that.
Yes.
Anyone else? Alderman Fahrenwald? Alderman Stevo?
Alderman Fahrenwald's on
You're
mute.
mute.
I'm sorry, yeah, I do agree. Button wasn't
Okay.
there.
Alderman Stevo?
I agree.
Okay. Alderman Mech?
I agree.
Okay. The next one, 17 R0413, the Chatham Street Bridge Improvements and Punch List. This money's coming out of TIF 5. The original recommendation said push off as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that. We should push off. We should.
I spoke to Jim.
It's the bridge is already done. We owe about 110. What Carmen Bellato, the treasurer, was telling me, that they already negotiating this in Springfield. There's some kind of an agreement. So it's floating out there that it still might cost the city of Blue Island $110,000, but the bridge is done. So there's a little bit of a punch list left, I think. I don't know where we're at on that, Eric, with the fixing up the pipe and stuff. But other than that, I think we're just waiting on that.
Right, and that's exactly right, Jim. I also have an additional, just FYI, this year, the Chatham Street Bridge is also due for its National Bridge Inspection Scheme bridge inspection. So the city's bridge engineers, Lochner, will need to go out there and do a bridge inspection. And for a bridge of that size over the CalSag, it's $25,000. They do it I think that's every 2 years. Yep, that's every 2 years. And this year it's due. So that also comes out of the TIF, though.
Okay.
Has a quick question, if I could.
Yes. Alderman.
For Eric, I walk over the bridge a lot, and there's rust, obvious rust, kind of at eye level, a lot of it. And maybe that's normal for something like this, but I'd like to think a brand new bridge wouldn't have so much rust as I'm seeing. Can you add that into their inspection or whatever when the time comes?
Yes, they do corrosion inspection. That's part of the process.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'm sorry. And then we would have to fix it on Wyland's dime, correct?
So when it comes time to paint that bridge, that will be city cost.
Yeah, but that might be a cosmetic thing at this point. It might not be a structure thing. So,
Right, exactly, Jim. And the last one was removing a lot of lead paint too. So that was the next time we paint this bridge is going to be a very different scope than the last.
Yeah, we've already had to clean up some of it with graffiti and paint some of it already. We try to match the color as best as possible.
So when they come back with their bridge inspection this year, we would have to do what they suggest within a certain amount of time. So would that be due this year?
Well, okay, so Alderman Rita, the Chatham Street Bridge has, been repaired very recently. I think it was
Right.
2016, 2017, so we're looking at 3 years. And it's a very lightly used pedestrian bridge, so it's not subject to heavy traffic. I would expect that we're not going to need to make any repairs at this time. Of course, we don't know until we do the bridge inspection. If there was a critical safety repair to be made, it would be the city's responsibility to make it and to pay for it. But I'm not expecting any huge costs out of this inspection.
Any,
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Alderman Rita.
I'm sorry, when you say any huge cost, you're saying that you don't think we'll have anything due?
Right, like this is a routine bridge inspection, and I'm not expecting them to find any safety defects with the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, okay, no problem.
Because otherwise, if we did, then we have to take that into account as well, since we're low on revenue. Obviously, everybody.
Right.
Okay, I hate to say this, but once again, we have run out of time for this discussion because the city council meeting starts in 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We are going to have to push this off. The rest of the 10 or 12 projects we'll have to push off until June the 9th.
Alderman Carr, can I bring something quickly up before we end?
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so I don't know to what extent this is all filtered down, but Blue Island received the first of 6 installments into the city's MFT, into their motor fuel tax bank account for roughly $260,000. That's the first of 6. That's Illinois bond money. It's going to be 1.5 million distributed every 6. So 260,000 distributed every 6 months for the purposes of reconstructing roadways in Blue Island. I've put together, so the first payment has already hit the city's account. Jim would be able to fill you in on that. And what Jim, Mark Miller, and I are doing is we're putting together a calculation for you all, and I'm going to give you all that map that we developed that shows all the city streets and all the conditions. But just so you know, I would like in the next meeting, like Alderman Carr, what I'll give you is another spreadsheet to distribute for the next meeting. So hopefully we can decide on some roads to rebuild for free.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion, I don't know if I could, to put that on hold until we accumulate some of the payments so that we could do a bigger job rather than little jobs along the way. Can I make that motion? To put that project on hold?
It's not on the agenda, but anyway. We can still, as a committee.
It is on the agenda.
Alderman Rita,
Yes?
as we decide which projects are going to be done, I think that would happen automatically. We could pick the projects that we want that money to go towards.
I just think that we should, my personal opinion is I think that we should hold off and hold on and let some of those payments accumulate so that we could do a bigger job and bigger and better projects rather than little ones along the way. That's my personal opinion.
Alderman Carr, I have a aldermanic concern, please.
Sure, Alderman Stevo, go ahead.
Thank you. May 17th, 2020, there was a massive flood in Blue Island. And I'm asking if we could have Eric Alvarez go to the Finance Committee and explain to them in depth how important it is to start up the sewer cleaning program again.
I agree 100%, 1,000%.
Areas. Thank
Yep.
you, Alderman.
I agree completely.
Thank you. We have to address this problem.
Yeah.
It's a very serious problem. It's going to grow value in our community to stop this flooding. Thank you very much.
Actually, this is Alderman Nancy Rita. One comment. Actually, and while you're over on Longwood, Eric, maybe you can take a look at how it was, the plans were put together and how the construction was. And why is it flooding now? It doesn't have to do with the sewers. Why is it flooding?
Because
That
we're
was the whole
getting way
reason
too
why we
much
did
rain.
that project.
There was just so much rain that came down. We got a problem about the whole city. I mean, I getting phone calls from all over the place. And it's not the fault of any particular thing.
This is Alderman Mech. I have to tell you, it is an ongoing concern. I understand that we had a unusual amount of water in a short period of time, but our residents of the old 7th Ward and the current 5th Ward, that Longwood 119th Place, we cannot allow this to continue. We have to find a solution and an answer. I visited residents' homes where they had 4 and 5 feet of water in their basement. Their cars were flooded out on the street. Unbelievable condition. And you know, on the other side, and Alderman Fahrenwald, you're absolutely right. We had people on Ann Street at 121st that have never had water, that had 2 to 3 feet of water in their basement. And I've never gotten water. Living in my house for over 10 years, I got water this last week, but they are plagued that Longwood, 119th area, unbelievable issues with their sewers, and it's an ongoing issue. And I know we have the blacktop, and you know they did the rain gardens that were supposed to help, but there is a definite sewer issue, drainage problem there.
I know this. I know.
This has to
Alderman
be
Mech,
addressed.
Alderman
This has
Mech,
to be addressed. Our residents cannot keep on suffering like this.
Can we talk about that in full council too? So
Yes.
it's
Let's go.
it's 7:01.
oh, okay.
Yes, we have to sign off. So I need a motion to adjourn.
This is Alderman Nancy Rita. I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, Alderman Fahrenwald. We'll see you in 2 minutes, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.